Hey everybody, it's Max, or Bareback with Barebag Gear. This is my first video in quite a while, and I'm just updating you on what's going on and where we're at with the Barebag Cub shelter system and its development. This is my first video coming back from the Appalachian Trail. And I just wanted to start off by saying that it was a phenomenal experience, and thank you to everyone who's been subscribed to my YouTube channel. I know you guys haven't gotten a lot of love, but I know that many of you have also been on my website where I kept a blog going. The video component of my blog really wasn't developed, honestly, because my Sony RX100 that I took with me on the trail produced such high quality video that it really became impossible to upload from the trail, which is why many of you on my YouTube channel have really missed what was going on. So I just wanted to apologize for that. Please stop by my website, www.barebaggear.com. I'm going to put it down below. And you can go there and check out the blog and see what the hike was like. And now there's a new blog, a development blog, that I'll be posting updates on the development of the Barebag Cub shelter system. Because now that I'm back, there's quite a few things to change. Just to start off, the Cub shelter system performed phenomenally on the trail. There are definitely ways for it to improve as well. Where it really shone was the hammock survived the entire hike. And it's still the 1.1 ounce ripstop nylon, so I was very happy with that. Actually, another gentleman who I hiked with also used the hammock for a time, and it worked out well for him too. And he weighed a little bit more than me, so that was an awesome test. The poncho component of the Cub shelter system, which is also the tarp, but its poncho functionality was awesome. It held up to hail, it held up to rain, it held up to the trail, and most importantly, it was easy to mend in situations, for example, where I fell. And it was a fall that would have injured any equipment and injured me, but because it was Cuben fiber, it was very easy to fix with just a little Cuben fiber tape and some stitches. So very, very happy with the functionality and the performance of the poncho. Another component that I really used quite a bit, another function I really used, was the small hammock size. Many times I would, of course, once I had spoken to everybody in the shelter beforehand, I would hang my hammock within the shelter. That was awesome for two reasons. One is I didn't have to set up a whole rain tarp if it was going to be raining. But the other really nice feature of that is that there's a lot of shelter space that's not utilized, a lot of dead air that's not utilized in most shelters, and having a hammock that could fill that space while still respecting others' people's spaces pretty much meant I had a reservation in every shelter. So that was awesome. Really happy about that. That is something that moving forward in our development, we're going to maintain that hammock size, keep it custom length to the people who buy it, but really trying to minimize its length but still maximize its comfort so that it can fit in a lot of scenarios that other larger hammocks just simply wouldn't be able to do. The total kit that I took with me was incredibly lightweight. It was under a pound, and it also, what was nice about it is because it was my rainwear, my pack cover, and my shelter together, it uses much less space. Now, in my gear video that I made prior to my hike, I had said I was going to be using the Gossamer Gear Murmur, and I did for a considerable length of time in the beginning. When it was snowy, this was the pack that I used. And at that time it was around 18 pounds or so for a few weeks there. But as soon as the temperature started to warm up and I started to take a lot of things out, I realized very quickly that this was just too big of a pack. So while I was on the trail, I ended up purchasing another pack, and I ended up buying an Osprey Talon 22 liter. So many of you who have been watching, I'm sure, gear videos and no hiking know that this is a phenomenally small pack, and I was very happy to have a pack this size. It weighs a little bit more, than my Gossamer gear, but what it lacks in weight, although it's still incredibly light, it's a day pack, but what it lacks in weight in comparison, it makes up for in being smaller and more compact, and things weren't moving around as much. And with this pack, my weight with food and water dropped to 13 pounds on average. If I had a really long haul between towns, it might get up to 15, but on average it was 13 pounds with food and water, which was beyond my wildest expectations. So very happy with both packs. Once again, I found them both easy to mend, particularly the Gossamer gear is very easy to mend. If you just bring a little thread, bring a needle, you can fix it up. But once again, because the Cub shelter system was so small, it allowed me to pack so much less. And its multifunctionality also helps there. And it just allowed me to carry something that I just felt like this was lighter than my pack I took when I was a middle schooler. So it's a phenomenal system, and I was really happy with that. So, in terms of where we're going now with the Cub shelter system. Now, many of you have been following us from the beginning, and you'll notice or feel that this poncho, tarp poncho, is very familiar. It was our first Sil nylon tarp poncho, and it actually fit asymmetrically over a tarp. This was 1.1 ounce Sil nylon. And we started off there, and that was great. The problem was that it's just simply not as light as Cuben fiber. So we have now moved into Cuben fiber, and that's what I took with me on the Appalachian Trail. And as I said, I was very happy with that material. This is the tarp poncho that I took with me on the trail. As you can see, it's still very much intact. As I said, there were a few moments where maybe a hem ripped when I fell, but that would have happened to any piece of equipment, and overall I was very happy with it. I used this far more as a poncho than I did as a tarp, and that gets into where we're going. I found that the width of the poncho tarp was too narrow for a shelter. It was doable, and I used it on many nights, but there was a certain amount of upkeep required. It required me to be kind of aware of, lateral rain or driving rain, and worried about my sleeping bag. So that's not a really comfortable way to sleep. The issue with a multifunctional piece of equipment like this is the width has to accommodate a person's torso width when they're hiking and wearing it as a poncho, but it has to expand and be wider when it's a shelter. So that's where we're going now, is we're developing a system that will have an expandable width. Whether or not that's going to be through multiple pieces, whether or not it's going to be something that can actually expand itself, that's where we're moving. In order to do that, there's going to be added weight to the tarp. And to compensate for that, we are going to be developing some new ways to do what we've been doing all along. One is we've been using the Nano 23 carabiner, and it's great. It's the lightest carabiner in the world. It's 0.8 ounces. It's phenomenal. But the issue is that it's 0.8 ounces, and I use two of them, 1.6 ounces, and when you're talking about under a pound, that's quite a bit. So we're now looking at moving away from the carabiners and coming up with a new way to attach the hammock to the trees and to the adjustment straps. And doing that, we can cut out the weight that we'll be adding on again when we create the additional width. The other major modification is we're getting rid of the webbing. The webbing was a phenomenal way to tie to the trees. It was 1/2-inch webbing, still very light. Strong too, it just weighs more. We are now going to be moving towards some lighter materials. We're looking at Dynaglide as one possible option. That is the same material that's used in a lot of other suspension systems. Very light, very strong, very minimal. We'll also be, because we'll be using such a lighter material for our suspension system. We'll be looking at using a fixed ridgeline, so that will ease setup for both the hammock and the tarp and make sure that every time you set up, it'll be the same as the last time you set up. That was something that I found that I wanted, as opposed to a highly customizable system that you could tweak given specific wind patterns, and just coming up with a system that works for every situation. So at that point, we're still hoping with all of those changes to be in under a pound, which is great. That's our goal. Our goal is to have your shelter, your rainwear, your pack cover, and have that whole kit weigh less than someone else's hammock. And we're going to be on track to do that. So please keep following us, keep checking out our blog. We'll be posting all the time. We are now on Instagram as well. And we also have a Twitter page and a Pinterest page, so we'll be posting lots of different things. Right now we're on our Instagram and our Twitter, we're largely posting a lot of pictures from the hike, so if you're curious about those, please come check it out. Make sure also, when you're on our page, to give us your information so we can give you updates and we can let you know when stuff is coming out. Similarly, on our development page, we will be asking questions, weekly development questions that we want the answers to. What are you willing to pay for something? What do you look for in equipment is one that we've been asking for a while, but we're getting more specific now. Do you care about having our system be under a pound, or is under 2 pounds enough? Is multifunctionality important? All of these questions that will help us make a better product for you, we're going to be asking those. So please, come check it out. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Come check us out on Facebook as well. And we'll keep you posted on what's coming up in the future.